Matthew here with Peoria, Adventists. Today we're going to talk about the bad news of the Christmas story. So you're having breakfast with King Herod back in the day. He's reading his newspaper with his cold brew, pinky out. Zazu comes in and gives him the morning report. "Sire, there are some Babylonian bureaucrats in Jerusalem asking where the new Jewish king is." And Herod's like, poof, spits his coffee out, because how do you think he's going to react? If you know anything about Herod, it's that he's had to fight for everything he has. Herod served as Rome wills it. He knew his position was wrapped up in Roman and Jewish politics, and he was willing to kill his own family to protect his position. Now look, kings don't retire peacefully, folks. Of the first 8 Roman emperors, maybe 2 died of natural causes. Herod knows his life and his crown depend on finding his rivals and getting rid of them. And so someone just starts talking about this new king. How do you think Herod's going to take that? If you go around asking people in Jerusalem where this new king is, don't you think the old king is going to find out? Did the wise men just assume that all of Israel would be excited that this Messiah had been born? Did they think everybody was going to love that news? We often talk about how the birth of Jesus was good news for the world. We sing about it at this time of the year, but it wasn't good news for everybody. It wasn't good news for Herod. Now, the book of Daniel deals with this history of these great powers, Babylon and Persia and Greece and Rome, and they're rising and falling and fighting each other, each one meaner than the one that came before. And there's this verse in Daniel 7 about a little horn. An animal's horn in the Bible often represents power. So if all these powers are represented by horns, it's like a bunch of animals like butting heads to see who's the strongest. And as this little horn rises up, it uproots 3 other horns or 3 other power players on the world stage. And Daniel says this little horn persecutes God's people and blasphemes the name of God. The powerless reader of Daniel is left to wonder, are we doomed to an eternity of being ruled by one power after another, each one meaner than the one that came before? Well, a few chapters earlier, the same kind of world history is sketched out, but in the end, Daniel is told, in the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. Now, this is fascinating because it means that God is going to break the cycle of these powerful empires rising and falling. His kingdom is going to rise up, and his kingdom rising up will be bad news for the beasts and the horns of the world. Okay, but Matthew, what does all of this stuff have to do with Jesus' birth? Well, if you read Zechariah's prophecy in Luke chapter 1, you'll notice this line. "For he has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David." So Jesus is also a horn among all the other horns, a power among all the other powers. But Jesus' power is different. He's a different kind of horn. Paul makes this clear in Philippians chapter 2. He says that Jesus emptied himself by taking on the form of a slave. Jesus lays his crown down, whereas Herod desperately clings to his. And this is how the cycle of empire and violence is broken. Jesus doesn't play by the old rules of gaining power and then using your power to keep your power. Jesus shares power. He empowers others. And the result is that Jesus gets his throne back, but with a twist. You see, in Jesus' letter to the church at Laodicea, he promises that if anyone overcomes, they will be given permission to sit with him on his throne. Whoa. Do you think Herod wanted anyone to sit with him on his throne? No way, man. But Jesus' kingdom is a different kind of kingdom because Jesus is a different kind of king. And that means the old school beasts and horns of this world are canceled. Get with the program, guys. We've seen a better way to use power, a way that ensures us that the best is yet to come.